Well, good morning, good morning. Good morning from Massachusetts. I'm Jennifer. If you've joined me for the first time, I welcome you. For people coming back, hello, hello. It's good to see you again. I'm going to do a quick check on my laptop to make sure audio and video are fine. You can also let me know in the chat. This is a member-only chat, so if you want to become a member, just click the join button and you'll become a member today. You'll join the live chat and you'll get a follow-up practice task on the community tab later today. Okay, let me do a quick check now. Hey, that's good. I see Manuel and Stunning Lad 1, two of the regulars. Good to have you guys here. Thank you for joining me. And happy September to all. It is September 1st, new month, new season. Today is chilly here in Massachusetts, but I love this change in temperature because the fall is a wonderful season. It usually fills me with good energy, like I want to be productive. So you can let me know in the chat. Do you like fall? Do you like chilly weather? What's your favorite season? 2 p.m. Well, thanks for taking time out of your work day. It's still a weekday. For those watching the recording, thank you for taking time to study with me today. We have about 30 to 60 minutes. Some members have sent in some questions and requests, so I have some tasks based on those. If you have a new question, stick it in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer. Now's a good time to post new questions, and at the end of the chat, if I didn't see it the first time, just post it again, and I'll do my best to answer. A really good question could turn into a video topic as well. Okay. Well, super. You know what, guys? I've been starting most of my activities these days, like consciously starting them with good energy and good intention. So I thought we'd try that today. You know, just what do you tell yourself when you're ready to study English? What's the mindset that you create for yourself so that you get the best outcome possible? You know, people use positive affirmations in different situations, and I've come to believe that affirmations really do work. They help us create a positive mindset and the right mindset for things to happen in the way that we want them to. So say something to yourself like, I am a learner and I love to learn. Or, you know, the learning process is a beautiful thing. Learning and studying every day brings me closer to my goals. Those are the kinds of positive affirmations I think that could work for any language learner. And by the way, I have some affirmations already recorded, and I do hope to share them in the near future. Hey, Mahippo's here as well. Good to have another regular. Hello to you. I know it. You're coming in from Japan. Thank you for staying up late. I know it's late in the evening if you're in that time zone. But let me do a quick sharing, if I can work my little magic here. Share my screen and show you guys what I see. If you visit my store, by the way, so these are just a few of the products I have up there already. I hope to add more. I hope to add the affirmations soon so that you can get a model of the kinds of positive statements you can use before you start your study session, right? Just to create that positive mindset and have the right intentions to get a positive outcome. So I have actually I can give you a glimpse of it. I think I have it here. Oh, no, that's the Learner's Pledge. But in any case, you know, the Learner's Pledge is another thing that I've already recorded. It's a PDF that you'll be able to download if you buy it, and then you also get the audio. So you just click on the product that interests you, and you can the Learner's Pledge is just $1, guys. You download it, you get that nice PDF and the MP3 recording. So it's my voice, and you can listen, read along, and learn it, and use that as a pledge to move forward in your learning in a positive way. But I will be adding a set of affirmations as well that you can listen and learn from and use to create your own affirmations. I really think that if positive statements regularly, it will create the right mindset and help you have not just the inspiration, but the motivation and to sustain your studies, not just to start, but to sustain, meaning to continue. Okay. All right. Let me get back to the screen here and we'll see if there are any questions coming in. 9 a.m. Manuel, you'd be sleeping. I think most people have to be up to work by 9, unless you have a lot of flexibility, right? All right. No questions are being posted. It's bizarre to learn that fall down. Out the dog when I run up. What kind of sentence is that, Manuel? I see. All right. Out the dog run when I open the door entrance. That's a I would out the dog ran, past tense. When I opened the door, I would take out entrance, right? Out the door, the dog ran. Probably like outside the dog ran when I opened the door. Right, you have the right idea. And I will address fronting. It's something that you guys asked about last month. I addressed briefly, and I'd like to return to that topic today. Okay, let's jump into it, guys. Here we go. Sharing my screen and coming to this document to remind you that if you like interactive live learning, then please consider Patreon. The program is resuming today. I took a break in August. Lots and lots of things were going on, but the program resumes today. We'll have 2 Zoom classes a month. And so the members get the 2 Zoom classes, pre- and post-lesson tasks, exclusive materials, interaction with me and with each other, private messaging with me, and we do focus on all skills. Members choose the topics for each month, and I try to give attention to the different skills so that you can be an all-around good communicator in English. B2 plus, so high, intermediate, and advanced, those are the levels that I welcome onto Patreon. So we have live classes starting this month. Sign up for those who are already members on Patreon. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Okay? All right. Another fun thing we can do today is, because it's September 1st, I always like to remember the poem that I learned as a child, to remember how many days are in each month. I shared this a long time ago in a video on YouTube. So why not read it again? Now it's 2023. This is a fun way that we remember. It's a way to remember how many days each month has, which ones have 30 and which ones have 31. You may have heard it before. I'll read it again. Let me go a little bigger for those of you who are on small devices. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, except February, which has 24 plus 4, till leap year gives it 1 day more. And as you know, leap year adds 29. There's an alternative ending. It goes like this: except February, which has 28 and fine, till leap year makes it 29. By the way, does anyone know when the next leap year is? You can Google that and let me know. When did we have our last leap year? I can't remember. Oh, Manuel's explained he's working the night shift. That is rough, so your schedule can be different. Well, thank you for taking time to get up or stay up for this morning session. For me, it's morning. All right, let me read it again. If you'd like to read along, I'll go a bit slower. We want to read smoothly and follow my rhythm. Listen and read along with me as well. Here we go. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, except February, which has 24 plus 4, till leap year gives it 1 day more. Let's read these alternative lines. Except February, which has 28 in fine, till leap year makes it 29. Do you have a different way to remember the months? I think it was in Russia, somebody taught me about using your knuckles, like January, February, March, April. So like it basically alternates. So If it's on a knuckle, it's 31. If it goes down, it's not 31. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July. I guess it works. I like the poem though. So if you love poetry, and especially a bit deeper poetry, remember I have a collection of poems in my store, and you could download that collection. Use it to listen, use it for pronunciation, use it just for your personal enjoyment. Okay. I see Stunning Lad 1 is exploring the different particles that can be used in a certain combination when we make phrasal verbs. Fall down, fall apart, yes. I will return to that playlist. I started to make the playlist of the most common phrasal verbs. I need to get back to that. So, all right, so nice poem to learn. Remember, I do have more poetry in my shop. If you have questions, again, you're welcome to post them. I'll try to keep track of the chat. Again, if I miss anything, I apologize. We'll go back at the end and see if there's anything that I missed. Manuel says you guys use the knuckle technique there. All right, so a first question came in recently about stress in compound nouns. By the way, Patreon members have a set of exclusive videos, and one of the videos is on compound nouns. Later this month, I'm going to share a short. It'll be a YouTube short and IG Reel. So make sure you follow me. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow me on Instagram so you don't miss that short little lesson on stress and compound nouns. So let's remember what compound nouns are. Here's a good example. Look at the nice picture and tell me, what do we call a house that is like a boat? Well, let's put an article in there. Like a boat. Because it is on water. What do we call a house that is like a boat? Because it is on water. And would you like to live in such a house? What do you think? And I'm going to test my members to write it because I'm curious to see how you're going to write it. I'm going to check in the dictionary to make sure that I'm right too. And when you're not sure how to write something, look it up. And remember, if you really want to confirm, look it up in more than one dictionary, because there are sometimes there's more than one acceptable spelling, more than one acceptable format. When we talk about compound nouns, basically we're talking about three possibilities. It could be one word, two separate words, or a hyphenated word. Stunning Ladwood says he knows that rhyme too. I don't know if it's a song. I don't know if there's a melody to it. There you go, houseboat. And that's how the dictionary lists it. I looked it up in Merriam-Webster. Houseboat as one word, houseboat. So here you see a number of words that are compound nouns. And look how I wrote them. Look how I grouped them. This first column, we have words that are written as two words became one. In the middle column, the compound nouns are made up of two words, but we perceive it as one unit, one idea. Okay? And then the last column here, we have hyphenated compound nouns. All right? So if you're unsure, check a dictionary. Now, the interesting thing is stress. Listen to the difference. If I just talk about a house, or a nice house, and a boat, and a big boat. If I simply use an adjective before the head noun, the main noun, the noun is still the final content word in my phrase, in my thought group, and that's what receives the most stress. That's a nice house. That's a big boat. But when we say compound nouns, the stress shifts. A houseboat. We're going to put more stress on the first word. Okay, so that's what we're going to practice right now, the pattern of stressing the first word in a compound noun. And follow my model and repeat after me. Okay, houseboat, toothbrush, payday, makeup, dishwasher, Notice if we do make a compound noun and it is a noun that could be plural, we use the singular. So we don't talk about teeth brush, even though we're brushing more than one tooth, we say toothbrush, right? And of course, we put more than one dish in a dishwasher, but we use the singular dishwasher. Yes, a houseboat is not a barge. A barge is a long, flat ship, and it's used to transport lots of cargo, lots of big shipment boxes and containers. Oh, that's interesting. Afloat is not, we would not consider that as a noun, right? It's afloat. That's a reference to its status. So a houseboat is continuously on the water. It's a boat that's on a house, but it doesn't sail anywhere, by the way. You can see by the picture, it's constantly anchored. It just has that there will constantly be that sensation. There's not full stability because you're on the water. Some people like that rocking motion. I imagine it could be very gentle, but if there's a storm, there could be some gentle rocking. I've never lived on a houseboat, although I've worked on ships. Okay, let's practice the second column, stressing the first word. Repeat after me. Tennis ball, cup holder, safety net, application form, window washer. And again, a window washer probably washes more than one window, but we don't use the plural, window washer. Know-how, show off, sing along, brother-in-law, and that's the pattern holds for all the in-laws, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law. Okay, stress on the first. Run-in. Notice this came from a phrasal verb. So if we talk about showing off, that's a phrasal verb, and we stress the particle if it's at the end of my sentence, the end of a thought group. You know, I have a friend named Katie. She's really talented, and she loves to show off because she knows she's so talented. So showing off is displaying something you have. It could be a possession or a talent, and you want to impress people. So if Katie loves to show off, she is a show off. Show off is the person. Know-how, if you know how to do something, you have the know-how, the knowledge, the skill set to do something. So again, these are hyphenated compound nouns. Know-how, show off. When I was a kid, before we had karaoke, or before karaoke became a big thing, sometimes they'd show like cartoons and songs, and they would put the words on the screen, and they'd say, "Follow the bouncing ball," and you could sing along, and they'd show the words. We didn't call it karaoke, it was just a sing-along, and you sang along with the people on the screen, whatever it was. If it was a cartoon character, and you followed the bouncing ball and you sang along. So you can sing along because it's a sing-along. These are compound nouns. Brother-in-law, run-in. Again, another phrasal verb that lends itself to a compound noun. If you run into somebody, it's a chance encounter. It wasn't planned, it just happened. But if you have a run-in, that's an event, an episode. Often the examples are not very positive. You can have a run-in with authorities, a run-in with the police. It's like you encounter them and you get in trouble for something. Okay. And well, you know what you're writing? Worried, sick. Those are that's like an adjective. Those are adjective, terribly sorry. I would call them adjective phrases. You're using adjectives and adverbs. Worried, sick, terribly sorry. I am terribly sorry. Yeah, those are phrases, not compound nouns, okay? Because worried is treated like an adjective. I am worried. I'm worried sick. Sick is also a content word, so I place stress on sick. I was worried sick. I'm terribly sorry. Terribly is an adverb. Sorry is an adjective. Adverbs and adjectives are content words. Whatever is the final content word will receive the most stress. Worried, sick, terribly sorry. Okay. Preschool, that's a prefix, preschool, and plus a noun. Can't fight with my fingers. That's an interesting phrase. Okay. All right. So stress and compound nouns means that the pattern usually means that we stress the first word. And in terms of writing, if you have any doubt, check a dictionary. Compound nouns can be one long word, two separate words, or a hyphenated word. Okay. Quick little check to have some fun. Let me get out of here so you can pay attention to me and not the screen. There we go. And I'll look at the... Oh, middle school is a good one, but middle could be considered an adjective too, middle, but middle school. All right, I have a little list of compound nouns, and I will give a hint, and you can write the answer. So it's partly a listening quiz and partly a writing quiz because I need to see that you're writing them correctly. Okay, first group has to do with our face. What's the skin that covers our eyes? What's that called? The skin that covers our eyes. If you're saying it, stress on the first. I'll go on to the second one. I know there's a bit of a lag. What do we call the hair, the little hairs above our eyes? What are these? There we go. Yep. Thank you, my hippo. Eyelid. And this is I have one or two And I'll move on to the next one. We have different bones, lots of bones actually, but which ones are these, right? These are my cheeks, and I have bones here. So what kind of bone is that? I have one, I have two. Good. Eyelid, eyebrow. These are my eyebrows. Bum, bum. And these are my, yes, eyelashes. That's another one. Eyelid, eyebrow, eyelash. Good. What bones are these? Ladies like to put a little bit of blush on our cheekbones. Yes, and very good. All of these are written correctly as one word. Eyelid, eyebrow, eyelash, cheekbone. One more. These are my ears, and I put my earrings in the fat part, the fat fleshy part at the bottom of our ear is our What is it? Yeah, 5-story building. There's a compound noun with a number, a noun, and the number noun hyphenated before the head noun. A 5-story building. The stress is a bit different in those ones, like a 2-year-old child, a 100-page book, a 5-page essay. The stress is a bit different in those. But in these compound nouns made up of 2 elements, the stress is on the first. Earlobes, very good. Stiff lip, I would separate it and treat stiff as an adjective, like a stiff upper lip, actually is what we say, a stiff upper lip. Okay, next group, let's see if you know words associated with the car, okay? Actually, computer too. When you sit in the driver's seat, you have all the information in front of you on your Also, when you come into a program, you log in and you see all your basic information. That's your So whether you're in a car or on a platform, the basic display is your Yeah, a lot of the rooms in the house, that's another good category, right? Bathroom, for example. No, because I actually see that more as a gerund, like living room, dining room. And as you know, gerunds behave like nouns. Living room, dining room, bum, bum, bum. That's the stress. Living room, dining room. Did anyone get it? There you go. Hey, good to see Fam Ho here. Dashboard. Dashboard. Okay, what do we turn on to see at night? I'll give you a hint. Actually, at night you need your but in the daytime you have daylights. There are usually daylights that are on all the time. That wasn't the case, let's say 20, 30 years ago, but cars today have daylights. Bump, bump. At night we use our And two other fun words. If you have a car and there's a window on top, there's two ways to describe it. If it's a window that you can look through and actually open, that's a But if it's simply a window, it doesn't open, but you could at least look out and see the sky or see the moon, that's a Do you know those words? Okay, so I'm looking for what we turn on at night when we're driving, and what we call those glass windows on the roof of our car. There's two ways to describe them because there's two kinds. And then also what keeps us safe is a There we go. Household. Sunroof. Fam Ho, glad you're here. Yep, but did you get the other one? Sunroof actually opens. The kind that doesn't open, you could at least see the moon, and we call that a moonroof. Sunroof, moonroof. Watch your stress. We turn on the headlights. It's true, you have house lights as well around your home, perhaps, but headlights, and write that as one word. Who can write that for me? Headlights, daylights. Sunroof, moonroof, let's write that as one word. Interesting. I saw you took that one away. Stunning lad one. Safety belt. We put it on when we're sitting in our seat. So here in the US, we call it a... Interesting. You say safety belt, we say seat belt, and we write it as two words. So you have safety belt, we have seat belt. Both variations are written as two words. Okay. Marry up. Run it. I don't know if those are, not all phrasal verbs, Manuel, lend themselves to compound nouns. Some do, like a run-in, a show-off. With marry down, I wouldn't treat that as a noun. I'd just keep it as a phrasal verb. When somebody has a marriage that either elevates or lowers their social status, we say they marry up or they marry down. I don't think I've heard it used as a compound noun. How about lifetime? That's a good one. Over the course of our lifetime, what do we hope to do? Okay. All right. Good practice. I'll give a little bit more practice to my members. I'll give some hints on the community tab, and you can guess the compound noun. And also, if you have any doubt, double check the way that we write it. Again, compound nouns can be single words, two separate words, or a hyphenated word. Okay. All right. Let's get into the next one, guys. Here we go. Question 2 was fronting, because we started last month and I wanted to do a bit more with this question. There's more to say. Fronting, front, means you put information at the front of the sentence. And we do that for emphasis. Oops. See, my box was covering that. What do we put at the front? It's information that usually goes towards the end or at the end of a sentence, but again, we're moving it towards the front for emphasis. So what usually comes at the end? Adverbs, prepositional phrases, examples with place, manner, and time. So, for example, up in the trees, we saw 2 monkeys. This is an example of fronting, or how I understand it, because in a neutral statement would simply say, we saw 2 monkeys up in the trees. That's one of the most common patterns. So we have subject, verb, object, and normally we put the adverbial at the end, but with fronting we move it there in the initial position. Okay, I see some more good examples of compound nouns there. Bedroom, match point. Oh yeah, that'd be a fun quiz or like a game challenge. Name all the compound nouns associated with sports. Yeah, match point. That's a good one. Okay, look at my next example of fronting. Without any warning, my sister got up early and drove off. Again, here's my main clause. That's my main idea. And fronting happens with this prepositional phrase. It's an example of manner. I'd normally say, my sister got up early and drove off without any warning. But if I really want to emphasize the manner, I could say, without any warning, my sister got up and drove off. Never said goodbye. With this kind of fronting, and we put a prepositional phrase there, we need a comma. If that prepositional phrase goes back at the end of the sentence, we do not need a comma before it. But in this initial position, we do. In the morning, I always do stretches. That's true. In a neutral statement, I'd simply say, I always do stretches in the morning. Subject, this is an adverb of frequency. Here's my verb. Object of the verb, and normally I'd put the adverbial at the end. That's an adverbial of time, a prepositional phrase of time. But with fronting, we could move place, manner, and time at the front, use a comma, and it's emphasized. Why would I do this? I could simply say, do you stretch? Yeah, I stretch. I always stretch in the morning. But if you ask me, well, what is your exercise routine? And I want to break it up into morning, afternoon, and evening. Now I might choose to emphasize the time of day. In the morning, I do stretches. In the afternoon, I take a walk. In the evening, I get on the exercise bike. So it's possible to do that. So you guys try. Go ahead. Right here, A, B. Whoops, let me make this bigger for you. Toot, toot, toot. Can you please, guys, rewrite A and B and use fronting? Search for place, manner, time, shift it to the beginning, front it, use a comma. I will address inversion, Manuel. Up in the trees too. I wouldn't. Up in the trees. No, and I'll tell you why that sounds a little strange to me. When you say, up in the trees, 2 monkeys we saw. I'll explain why it doesn't quite work. It actually makes me think of Yoda. I don't know if we have any Star Wars fans out there. We talk about the way the character Yoda speaks, and it's actually called Yoda Speak. You can go on to, just Google it. I think there are actually websites and apps that translate any sentence into Yoda speak. And basically, it is fun, by the way, from the standpoint of an English language learner. Yoda speak should sound interesting and funny to you because it plays around with syntax. Yoda is known for moving and changing the usual word order. So instead of saying like, we saw 2 monkeys we saw, Yoda shifts objects to the front, but normally we don't do that in everyday English. Very good, Stunning Lad 1. With the, just watch a little typo, utmost. With the utmost care, she lifted the fragile vase. Good, Manuel. Suddenly, he hit the brakes. Just, again, I know typos are hard. You guys are typing fast. Thank you for typing. Just watch the comma. So comma after suddenly and then a space. I know your fingers are moving fast. Typos are very easy to make. I do them all the time. You probably see me correct them. Okay, so right, we're going to stick this at the beginning. Whoopsies. With the utmost care, he lifted the fragile vase. We take out suddenly, move it to the beginning. And we could also use this for dramatic purposes. So that's why fronting can work, especially with manner. With the utmost care, he lifted the fragile vase. Suddenly, he hit the brakes. So it can lend itself, it can increase the drama of our statements. Very good. All right. Inversion. So Manuel was starting to play around with this. It sounds more literary. You're not going to do this as much in everyday conversation. It can happen with the verb to be. Look, on the top shelf was a collection of rare books. What I'm really saying is a collection of rare books was on the top shelf, right? So I have my subject, verb, and then the location. But I'm moving the location, the place, to the front of the sentence this way. And because I did that, I'm now switching around the subject and the verb. That with inversion, that's what inversion means. Subject, verb, inversion, we switch it around. This is my subject, a collection of rare books. I'm doing that with the verb to be. Here, I'm doing it with a verb for place. Behind the curtain stood the nervous child, waiting to perform. What's the subject? The nervous child. The verb, stood. Where? Behind the curtain. And then this is a reduced adjective clause. Who was waiting to perform. Okay? Behind the curtain stood the nervous child, waiting to perform. So I did it with the verb to be. I can do it with a verb that expresses place. And we could possibly do it with movement. Seemingly out of nowhere came a strong wind. Again, this is descriptive. It's literary. It's what you'd find in a book when the author can't show you but can describe to you what is happening. Seemingly out of nowhere came a strong wind. Subject, and here's my verb. A strong wind seemingly came out of nowhere. So a strong wind came out of nowhere. We shift and we move things around. We front the adverbial or the place or the manner, and then we have to use inversion. We don't have to, but it's descriptive. Okay? I could say on the top shelf there was a collection of rare books. Behind the curtain the nervous child stood, and he was waiting to perform. And I can sometimes do it not with all past participles. Gone is a common one. Again, in this literary tone. Gone are the days when writing could only be done by humans, because we have ChatGPT now. Gone are the days when writing could only be done by humans. Again, what is my subject here? The days. Which days? The days when writing could only be done by humans. And then here's my verb. It actually works nice because the subject is so big. And so this word order works well. So Manuel, your verb with saw, it's not place and it's not movement. So these are guidelines, but generally a verb like saw wouldn't work with inversion. Up in the trees we saw two monkeys, but I wouldn't say up in the trees two monkeys we saw. Okay, but up in the trees, I don't know, shrieked a group of monkeys, perhaps. No, shrieked when we're up in the trees. Or shriek doesn't work either. Swaying the monkeys, perhaps. Up in the sky, circled two vultures. I don't know. I'm trying to think what would work. So again, it's literary. I can't think as easily and come up with examples off the top of my head. Authors have more time to create those lovely, colorful examples. So guys, try this. It's not something that you're going to do as often, but you can play around with it right now. Okay. C and D. What are we going to front? Move something, place, manner, time, to the front of the sentence, or a past participle. Use inversion. Put the verb before the subject. No commas are needed here. Utmost. I don't think utmost is a word, Stunning Lad One. Utmost. Utmost. Sometimes we create our own words, right? They totally make sense. I could be wrong. I'll just double check. But utmost? No, I don't think that's a word. I've been in that situation too. Is that a word? When I play Scrabble with my kids, sometimes we have to use the dictionary to double check. Is that a word? Utmost, is it? Uppermost. I take it back. Yeah, uppermost. I would say the uppermost. That's why I didn't recognize it. The upmost means the highest, like the uppermost beam, the uppermost rafter. I'm thinking architecture, because even in everyday English, I'd say the highest. the highest floor, for example. So it's not a word that I recognized. It's a low frequency word. For too long, you've been in the for too long, you've stood in the shadows. I'd say it that way. For too long, you've stood in the shadows. You're right. Upmost is a word. It's not one that I use. Upmost, uppermost are the same thing, and it means like the highest. But I don't think it's one that's commonly used, at least not in American English. Dark have been my dreams of late. Yes, that sounds very literary. Could be a poem too. Out of nowhere. Okay, so here, guys, what would I do? Move it to the front. You could go like this, into the blue sky, but if we're going to use the inversion, I'll go like this, and it's possible, it's movement. Into the blue sky rose the hot air balloon, higher and higher, drifting like, I don't know, drifting among the clouds. Into the blue sky rose the hot air balloon. Yes, Manuel. Okay. And it's not something that sounds like everyday conversational English, okay? It's something that you'd write. So if you want to sound flowery and colorful, you could do that, okay? Gone, this is an example of a past participle. Gone is the only one I can really think of that sounds natural, that I would actually possibly use. So we're going to put that at the beginning. This is my subject, so I need to find the verb. It's right there. And shift it because we're inverting. And now we have our new sentence. Gone were the carefree days of childhood. And this sounds nostalgic, like up here, if you're like, oh my gosh, like some of us are embracing ChatGPT and some people are like, oh my gosh, it's doom. It spells doom for the authors around the world. Gone are the days. Oh, it's like, sounds like you're lamenting this. Gone were the carefree days of childhood. Okay. Again, this is an example of fronting with inversion. Most of the examples that you're going to use with fronting will have adverbials for place, manner, and time. Okay? And then as I was searching on the internet, I came across the Cambridge Dictionary, and I like their notes. So I'm just noting that if you go onto Google or whatever browser you love, look at the Cambridge Dictionary and type in fronting. They have some nice examples, and they reminded me, oh yeah, we do that too. This is not something you would write. This is something you speak. There's this double subject. What we're really saying in this sentence is that the coffee you recommended is good. But what happens in conversation, sometimes we use this long description so that we convey to our listener what exactly we're talking about, and then we restate the subject with a short pronoun. So we go from big and descriptive to short and concise. You do not need a double subject like this in writing, but in speaking we sometimes do that. We might even preface such a statement with, you know the coffee you recommended? It's so good. Or the coffee you recommended? It's so good. The coffee you recommended, it's so good. So this is what I'm saying initially to be specific so you know what I'm talking about, and then I restate the subject with a pronoun. So this could possibly fall into the category of fronting as well. We're fronting our whole statement with a long description. My teacher, the one I've been studying with, she just published a book. Okay, so you wouldn't understand the pronoun without more description, and I'm putting all the description up front. I thought that was an interesting addition that Cambridge Dictionary came up with. Okay, again, things that you would not write, but you could say. I'll read them again so you can feel the flow of the statements. It's something you would hear. The coffee you recommended, it's so good. My teacher, the one I've been studying with, she just published a book. And do you hear my intonation? I'm like, do you know what I'm talking about? That thing I'm talking about? That person? I'm rising. And then I go with falling intonation to give my main message. The coffee you recommended, it's so good. My teacher, the one I've been studying with, she just published a book. Okay, is that interesting how grammar and pronunciation and specifically intonation work together? Yep, stunning live line. Yes, it is possible. We have some flexibility, Manuel. Oh, it's so good. That coffee you recommended. But then again, if I jump straight into, oh, it's so good. It's like, what is it? There's a problem with reference words, both in speaking and in writing. Some things are very clear in our minds, what we're talking about, but sometimes our thoughts come out so quickly and we just assume that our listener knows what we're talking about. You have to be careful with reference words like pronouns. If they don't have the background information or the topic, they're going to be lost. What's so good? That's why this kind of fronting works a little better, because you're being specific and then you're restating with the pronoun. Okay, super guys. Thanks for the participation. And I'll give some more practice on the community tab for my members. Let's move on to the final question, guys. There was a request for looking at formal English versus more conversational English. So I'll just scroll back so you'll see this, and then I'll scroll in to make it easier for those on smaller devices. I have 3 paragraphs, and as you can see by the arrow, this is indicating a drop in formality. I want you to sense the difference between something more formal, something just more neutral, everyday English, versus very conversational. Okay? What makes it formal? Let me come down to this one. Okay? Listen and try to identify the elements, the aspects that make this a more formal text. In the month of September, Patreon members will enjoy the theme Mysteries in History. The Roanoke Colony is a possible discussion topic. Although the event was previously addressed in an Instagram video, students were not given the opportunity to discuss it. The disappearance of an entire colony in the late 16th century prompts much speculation to this day. Yeah, I think, by the way, Stunning Lad, your latest comment reminds me, I think my kids are saying, just like there's like Yoda speak translators, you put in everyday English and it translates the statement into Yoda speak. I think there's one for Shakespeare, or you could always play that game, how would Shakespeare talk, instead of, hey, how are you doing today? How art thou? I don't know. It's just funny how language has changed over time. I wouldn't say that either. So good was the coffee you recommended. Does not sound like everyday English. Mysteries in history. Yes, this is the topic my Patreon members voted for, so I'm excited. We'll see what topics we come up with. Okay, is anyone picking up on elements, aspects of this text that make it more formal? I see connecting words. I'm not saying this is formal, but use of connecting words, transition words, more attention to that kind of more sophisticated grammar is typical. Also, look at this. Was previously addressed. Is that active or passive? Was previously addressed. Verb be plus the past participle, passive. Okay, passive is more typical of formal English. Doesn't mean that we don't use the passive in conversational English. We do, but a lot of passive verbs that would be more typical of formal English. And then the vocabulary. If your eyes scan, the more difficult words, the lower frequency words, the ones that we don't use as often, increase the difficulty and complexity and sophistication of this text. So things like previously, there are other alternatives, before, a while ago, a while back. Prompts is another word. There are other everyday alternatives. Speculation. Instead of saying prompts much speculation, we could say makes people wonder. So prompting is making and pushing, and speculation is about speculating, guessing, thinking, wondering. Okay. Now I want you to compare this basic idea, this basic text with the next one. We're moving down, down, down. There we go. You can listen. Since the September theme on Patreon is Mysteries in History, I may choose to address the Roanoke colony. A while back, I explained the event in an Instagram video. The disappearance of a whole group of colonists in the late 1500s remains an unsolved mystery. Students might enjoy some conversation on this topic. Do you feel that it's a little less formal? Hopefully you do. Something that both texts have in common, no contractions, right? The contractions are more typical of conversational, informal English, so no contractions. Up here, we had an example of passive. We lost that here. Instead of what was addressed or explained, or I explained the event. So the shift from passive to active in the use of a personal pronoun like I or we also shifts away from formal to more informal, right? If you want to sound more formal, you wouldn't use I as much. That's true of academic writing. It's not what I think, I believe. We know it's your essay and it's your thoughts and your beliefs, so you wouldn't include the pronoun I as much. You think speculation is bad? Speculation can be interesting, an interesting activity to engage in, right? If you wonder what happened. Okay. Oh, humankind. There's a good phrasal verb, or not phrasal verb, compound noun. Since has more than one meaning. I'm using it here as because. So I'd say that's a little bit more typical of everyday English, you know, because the theme is, since the theme is mysteries in history. I lost previously and chose to go with a while back, right? A whole group. I shifted from 16th century to the late 1500s. That was just a preference. And then here I lost, we're not given the opportunity. I decided to express that idea as students might enjoy some conversation on this topic. The level of vocabulary is easier. I don't have those lower frequency or more difficult words in this text. Now compare that one to the last one, okay? And you also hear it in my tone. Mysteries in History is going to be the theme on Patreon in September, so I may end up talking about the Roanoke colony. I explained about it in an older Instagram video. Basically, a whole group of colonists disappeared in the late 1500s. It's like, whoosh, they vanished, and no one's really figured out for sure what happened, so it would be fun to discuss it a bit. And I could even have a little bit of fun and go like this. I usually don't write that contraction, but I'd say it. It'd be fun. It would be fun. And again, I might say is going to be the theme, but I wouldn't write it. Here's one contraction. There really is an opportunity for contractions in this text, but when I did have the opportunity, I used it. Again, easier, high frequency, everyday word choices here. Phrasal verbs are more common in conversational, informal English. Basically, right, whereas something that's a more typical introductory word in an informal text. We might say, what would I say? In general, on the whole, in essence, maybe something like that. Using a conjunction like so to start a sentence is acceptable in everyday informal English. Back in the day, we were taught not to start sentences with and, but, and so. But is an exception, but I would actually start a sentence at this level with but. I generally avoid starting sentences with and or so, but I would do that if the level were conversational, okay? Yes, yes. Stunning Lad 1 came up with some conversational language. It was like, whoosh, they did a disappearing act. They did a disappearing trick. I tell you, it's still a mystery today, right? That kind of personal tone using I or addressing you, that more familiar tone is typical of conversational English. Definitely using a word like a sound, we're using sound effects now, whoosh, is informal English. And, it's like, because I really don't need all of this. I could say they simply vanished and no one has, oh, by the way, here's my other contraction. No one has really figured out. So I do have two contractions. When I had the opportunity, I used them. I used a coordinating conjunction there as to start a sentence, more like a continue, kind of like well or so. That's conversational. Okay. Yo, we can discuss this. It's going to be so cool. All right. So you can feel the sense of lowering the level, the register, and what exactly contributes to that. Use of contractions is going to be at the lowest level. That's conversational. Higher level, more academic vocabulary is going to be at the highest level. Words like previously, prompt, speculation, connecting words, transition words, instead of although, I could say, despite the fact that the event was previously addressed, right? It's wordy, but also formal sounding. Connecting words and transitions I'd use at a formal level. At this one, I still may avoid contractions, but I'm going to use more everyday English, higher frequency words. And then finally, when I become conversational, I'm writing as I might talk, right? So that's why I have words like it's like, so. I can include onomatopoeia, whoosh. And my connecting words are very simple. I'm just sticking to the fanboys, nothing complicated. Fanboys, right? Those are our coordinating conjunctions. I have a video on that if you need to review. For, and, nor, fan, but, or, yet, and so, fanboys. So I'll give some practice with a writing task on the community tab, changing a text from formal to informal English. If you like the sound of this kind of practice, if you think it would be beneficial to you to gain practice with follow-up tasks, click that join button because I'll be posting those tasks soon. Check back later today and they'll be there. Okay, we're going to be winding down. So remember, please, members, I'll have the tasks on the community tab later today. If you have questions, now's the time to put them. I'll check in a moment. Thank you to old and new kind-hearted patrons on Patreon, as well as all my members on YouTube. Thank you so much for being a member. I appreciate that. And remember, guys, it's not just the live stream and the follow-up tasks. You have access to an exclusive playlist of previously recorded live streams. You have access to the Mojam audio gifts. You have a cool little badge. So, and another reminder, guys, is if you want to learn more about my 15-year journey up until last year, when I hit the milestone, I wrote about it. My story is on Amazon. I am thinking of a special live event for those who have read the book. I might do that in September, October. So if you are interested in my story and interested in discussing some of the themes that came up in my reflections, if the story had themes or elements that resonated with you, I'd like to invite people to talk about that. So again, but there's going to be a trick on who can join. So you're going to have to prove that you read it. You bought it and read it. So let's get out of here, work my little magic, come back to my main screen, and I will look at the comments to see if there are any questions I missed. If I didn't see it, just type it again for me, guys. I like the sticker. Get down and boogie. You must know your past, living in the present, think about the future. Oh, the Stunning Lad one. Thank you. And I like the hippo, the spinning hippo on a desk chair. On a desk chair. Thanks for the super thanks or super sticker. Or actually super sticker, that's adjective. Super sticker. But super thanks. A thank you sticker. That would be a compound noun. In any case, thank you. All right. Still scrolling to see if there's any questions I missed. If you need to leave, thank you for joining me. If you're watching the recording, again, thank you for taking time to be with me today. I'll stick around for a final moment as I scroll through the comments to see if I missed anything. You must know your past, living in the present. Manuel's statement is interesting. You must know your past. I might say, I think this is the way I understand it, Manuel. You must know your past while still living in the present and thinking about the future. Or while living in the present, you must know your past and think about the future. I guess it depends on what time period you wish to focus on. I might emphasize the present. We all want to be present, right? While living in the present, you must know your past and think about the future. I think that would be my preference. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to wind down. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next month for the next live stream. It's still not too late to become a member. Click join, and you will gain access to the follow-up tasks on the community tab. Thank you, guys, and we'll have new lessons for you both on YouTube and on Instagram. So thank you for taking time. Happy studies to you all. Bye. Yep, Patreon members, check your private messages and we'll get the one-on-one lessons going for those of you who want additional one-on-one time. Oh, somebody new. Arnaud Becci. Hello. Thank you for joining. Check the community tab later and you'll get your follow-up tasks.